The crisis pointed beneath Iranian mountains. Centrifuges spin at 100,000 RPM, enriching uranium to dangerous levels. As of May 2025, Iran possesses 408.6 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, just one step from weapons grade, 90%. Intelligence experts estimate Iran could produce enough weapons grade uranium-4 nuclear weapons within 1 week and 8 weapons in under 2 weeks. But here's the twist. Having bomb material doesn't mean having a bomb. Weaponization requires designing explosive lenses, miniaturizing warheads, and building delivery systems. Iran's nuclear breakout time is estimated to be almost zero, yet experts believe actual weaponization would take months or years. The world watches a nuclear threshold approach in real time. Understanding ENRACHM and enrichment separates isotopes to increase U2 235 concentration from natural 0.7% to usable levels. Power plants need 3 to 5% enrichment. Medical isotopes require 20%. But nuclear weapons demand 90% plus purity. Ever wonder how close Iran really is to having a nuclear weapon? The answer isn't just about politics. It's about physics, engineering, and some pretty chilling math. Let's break down the reality of Iran's nuclear program, moving past the headlines to see the hard data. This isn't speculation. This is a look at the fortresses, the stockpiles, and the technology that define one of the most critical security challenges of our time. To understand Iran's nuclear progress, we need to talk about enrichment. Imagine trying to separate two almost identical particles from a gas spinning at supersonic speeds. That's what a centrifuge does. Spins a gas called uranium hexafluoride. And the slightly heavier U-238 isotope gets pushed to the outside, while the lighter fissile U-235 isotope stays closer to the center. This U-235 is what you need for a bomb. Natural uranium is only about 0.7% U-235. A nuclear reactor needs it enriched to about 3 to 5%. Nuclear weapon needs it enriched to 90%. Here's the critical piece of math that most people miss. The enrichment process is not linear. Getting from natural uranium to 20% enrichment requires about 90% of the total effort. Think about that. Most of the hard work is done in the early stages. Iran has already stockpiled a significant amount of uranium enriched to 60%. To get from 60% to the 90% needed for a weapon is not a giant leap. It's a tiny final step. Reaching 60% represents about 95% of the total technical work. That last jump to 90% only requires the final 5% of effort, like running a marathon. If the full 26.2 miles is weapons-grade uranium, Iran has already run 25 miles. That last 1.2 miles is a short sprint they could complete in just a few weeks, maybe even days, using the advanced centrifuges they already have in place. This isn't a long-term project anymore. It's a short-term decision. So where is all this happening? Not in your average industrial park? Iran's nuclear program is housed in a network of fortified, military-grade fortresses built to withstand even the most powerful airstrikes. Let's look at the two most important sites, Natanz and Fordo. Natanz is a massive complex. On the surface, it looks like a sprawling industrial facility, but the real work happens underground. Buried 8 meters deep are vast halls designed to hold up to 50,000 centrifuges. These halls are protected by layers of reinforced concrete and earth, a clear defense against aerial bombardment. Inside, thousands of centrifuges spin day and night. Iran operates a mix of older IR-1 centrifuges and more advanced models like the IR-2 meters and IR-6, constantly upgrading its capabilities. Natanz is the workhorse of the enrichment program, a symbol of its scale and resilience. But if Natanz is a fortress, Fordo is an almost impenetrable bunker. This facility is built deep inside a mountain near the holy city of Qom. We're not talking about a basement here. Fordo is buried 80 to 90 meters. That's nearly 300 feet underneath solid rock and granite. It was designed to be virtually immune to conventional bunker-busting bombs. Its purpose from the beginning was high-level enrichment. It was built to hold around 3,000 centrifuges, and it's the primary site where Iran produces its 60% enriched uranium. Fordo's existence sends a clear message, no matter what happens on the surface. The core of the nuclear program is designed to survive and continue operating. Then there's the Arak facility. This site houses a heavy water reactor. Unlike the enrichment path, which uses uranium, a heavy water reactor can produce plutonium, which is the other primary route to a nuclear bomb. While the reactor's development was paused under the 2015 nuclear deal, its existence shows that Iran has pursued multiple pathways to a potential weapon. These aren't just buildings. They are redundant, hardened military installations, engineered to preserve Iran's nuclear capability against any external attack. Now, let's talk about the stockpiles, because the numbers tell a frightening story. As of May 2025, Iran's total stockpile of enriched uranium, across all levels, reached over 9,200 kilograms. To put that in perspective, the 2015 nuclear deal, the JCPOA, limited Iran to just 300 kilograms of low-enriched uranium. Before that deal, Iran had about 10,000 kilograms. Since the deal began to unravel in 2019, these stockpiles haven't just grown, they've exploded exponentially. The most alarming part of this stockpile is the high-enriched uranium. Iran now possesses over 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%. Why is this so critical? A single nuclear weapon, depending on the sophistication of the design, requires about 15 to 25 kilograms of 90% weapons-grade uranium. With simple conversion math, Iran's current 60% stockpile could be turned into roughly 233 kilograms of weapons-grade material. 25 kilograms per weapon. That's enough for 9 nuclear bombs. Remember that final sprint we talked about? Experts estimate that Iran could convert its 60% stockpile to 90% in as little as 3 weeks at Fordo. The material for multiple bombs could be ready before the international community could even convene a meeting to discuss a response. Iran continues to add several kilograms of 60% material to its stockpile every single month, creating a situation that is becoming increasingly irreversible. This rapid progress wouldn't be possible without a dramatic evolution in centrifuge technology. When Iran's program started, it relied on the IR-1 centrifuge. This was a 1970 design based on Pakistani technology, a relatively slow and inefficient aluminum cylinder. It worked, but it took a lot of them, and a lot of time, to enrich a meaningful amount of uranium. Today, that's ancient history. Iran now operates cascades of advanced centrifuges like the IR-6. An IR-6 centrifuge can enrich uranium about 10 times faster than an IR-21. That means one advanced centrifuge does the work of 10 older ones. This is a massive technological leap. It slashes production timelines and dramatically reduces the physical footprint needed to enrich uranium. Instead of needing a massive hall with thousands of machines, a smaller, more easily hidden facility can do the same job. Under the JCPOA, Iran was limited to about 5,000 of its old IR-1 centrifuges for enrichment. By 2023, it was operating nearly 9,000 centrifuges, many of them advanced models. At the heavily fortified Fordo facility alone, Iran has over 1,000 IR-1 South and nearly 2,000 advanced IR-6 centrifuges installed and spinning, and they are developing even more powerful models, like the IR-8 and IR-9, which use advanced materials like carbon fiber rotors to spin faster and more efficiently. This technological leap is the key factor that has crushed the breakout time, the time it would take Iran to produce enough weapons-grade material for one bomb. And what was once measured in months is now measured in weeks, or potentially even days. The combination of a massive stockpile of highly enriched uranium and a fleet of advanced, highly efficient centrifuges has fundamentally changed the equation. The infrastructure is in place. The material is stockpiled. The technical hurdles have been cleared. We've looked at the math of enrichment, the hardened fortresses, the ever-growing stockpiles, and the advanced technology. The picture is clear. Iran is not years or months away from being able to produce nuclear weapons. It is a threshold state, standing at the finish line. The final decision to build a bomb is now a political one, not a technical one. Understanding this reality is the first step toward confronting the difficult choices that lie ahead. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown informative, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the critical issues shaping our world. Stay informed. The world held its breath in June 2025. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, the landmark nuclear deal signed back in 2015, had been on life support for years. After a series of withdrawals and escalating tensions, the agreement was officially declared defunct. The international community watched, worried, as Iran accelerated its nuclear program, enriching uranium to levels far beyond what the original deal permitted. Diplomatic channels, once bustling with hope, fell silent. The window for a peaceful resolution seemed to be closing fast. What followed was a chain of events that pushed the region to the brink. Intelligence reports, whether verified or not, began to surface, suggesting that Iran was just weeks away from a potential nuclear breakout. The rhetoric from all sides grew harsher. Sanctions were tightened, but they seemed to have little effect on the resolve of the Iranian leadership. Instead, they appeared to double down, viewing their nuclear program as a critical deterrent and a symbol of national pride. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN's nuclear watchdog, found its access to key sites increasingly restricted, further fueling international suspicion and anxiety. Then, on a quiet Tuesday morning in late June, the news broke. A coordinated series of pre-dawn airstrikes had targeted multiple sites across Iran. Official statements were carefully worded, describing the operation as a limited precision campaign aimed at degrading key nuclear infrastructure and preventing the imminent acquisition of a nuclear weapon. The targets reportedly included the Natanz and Fordo enrichment facilities, the Arak heavy water reactor, and several other suspected research and development centers. The world was stunned. While tensions had been high, few had expected such a direct and large-scale military intervention. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Initial reports from Iran spoke of massive explosions lighting up the night sky. State media denounced the attacks as an act of aggression, vowing a crushing response. The question on everyone's mind was, what would that response look like? This brought Iran's formidable missile arsenal into sharp focus. For decades, while facing international sanctions that limited its access to advanced combat aircraft, Iran had poured resources into developing a diverse and powerful fleet of ballistic and cruise missiles. This strategy, known as asymmetric warfare, was designed to counter the conventional military superiority of its adversaries. Let's break down what that arsenal really looks like. Iran's missile program is one of the largest and most sophisticated in the Middle East. It includes a wide range of short, medium, and intermediate-range ballistic missiles. The Shahab series, for example, has been a cornerstone of their program for years. The Shahab 3, with a range of up to 2,000 kilometers, is capable of reaching targets across the region. Then there are the newer, more advanced solid-fuel missiles, like the Sagyal and the Ahmad. These are more accurate, can be launched with much less preparation time, and are harder to intercept, making them a significant strategic threat. But it's not just about ballistic missiles. Iran has also made huge strides in cruise missile technology. These are low-flying, highly maneuverable weapons that can hug the terrain to avoid radar detection. The Sumer and Haveza cruise missiles, with reported ranges exceeding 1,300 kilometers, demonstrated a new level of sophistication. We saw a glimpse of this capability in 2019, when a swarm of drones, It's no longer just about threatening large cities. It's about being able to conduct pinpoint strikes against critical infrastructure, military bases, and naval assets throughout the region. This missile force is controlled by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' Aerospace Force, a highly disciplined and ideologically motivated branch of the Iranian military. They operate from a network of scattered and deeply buried launch sites and underground missile cities, designed to withstand a first strike and ensure a retaliatory capability. This strategic depth is a key part of their defense doctrine. They know they can't win a conventional air war, so they've built a deterrent force that guarantees they can strike back, inflicting unacceptable costs on any attacker. The strategy is clear. Make the price of any military action against Iran so high that no adversary would dare to pay it. In the hours and days following the fictional June 2025 strikes, the world waited to see if that deterrent would be unleashed. International shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital artery for global oil supplies, ground to a halt. Military bases across the Middle East went on high alert. The potential for a regional conflict, drawing in multiple countries and disrupting the global economy, was terrifyingly real. The strikes, intended to be a decisive blow to Iran's nuclear ambitions, had instead lit a fuse on a powder keg that had been accumulating for years. The collapse of the JCPOA was the first step on this dangerous path. Signed in 2015, it was a compromise. Iran agreed to strict limitations on its nuclear program and intrusive international inspections. In return, crippling economic sanctions were lifted, promising to reintegrate Iran into the global economy. For a time, it seemed to work. Iran complied with its obligations, and foreign investment began to trickle back in. But the deal was politically fragile from the start. Critics in the United States argued it didn't go far enough, failing to address Iran's missile program or its regional activities. In Iran, hardliners viewed it as a surrender of national sovereignty. The turning point came in 2018, the unilateral withdrawal of the United States from the agreement and the reimposition of maximum pressure sanctions. The European signatories tried to salvage the deal, but without the US, their efforts were largely ineffective. The economic benefits that Iran had been promised never fully materialized. Feeling betrayed and economically squeezed, Tehran began to gradually reduce its own compliance, a strategy they called remedial measures. They started enriching uranium to higher purities, stockpiling more than the deal allowed, and developing advanced centrifuges. Each step was a carefully calculated move, designed to create leverage and pressure the remaining parties to provide economic relief. But the leverage never came. The diplomatic deadlock hardened. By early 2025, the breakout time, the time it would take for Iran to produce enough weapons-grade uranium for one bomb, had shrunk from over a year to just a matter of weeks. The red lines that had been drawn by regional powers were being crossed. The failure of diplomacy left a vacuum, and into that vacuum stepped the logic of military force. The fictional strikes of June 2025 were not a sudden event, but the culmination of years of failed negotiations, broken promises, and escalating mistrust. They were a tragic testament to what can happen when diplomacy fails and communication breaks down. The scenario we've just walked through is a fictional but plausible projection of how a long-simmering crisis could escalate. It highlights the intricate link between international diplomacy, nuclear non-proliferation, and regional security. It underscores the immense power of Iran's conventional deterrent-eats missile program and how it shapes the strategic decisions of every nation in the region and beyond. As we look at the real-world tensions of today, this fictional account offers a sobering glimpse into a future we must all work to avoid. The path of diplomacy is often long and difficult, but the alternative is a future filled with uncertainty and danger for us all. Thanks for watching. If you found this analysis insightful, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into global affairs. Iran's withdrawal of experienced IA inspector designations in fall 2024 has seriously affected verification of uranium enrichment activities. Since February 2021, Iran denied IA access to recorded data from centrifuge plants. In June 2022, monitoring equipment was removed from enrichment and production facilities. The IAEA reported it could no longer guarantee complete knowledge of Iran's nuclear inventory. Cameras removed, snap inspections blocked, environmental sensors disabled. Iran also stonewalled investigations into uranium particles found at undeclared sites near Tehran. Without transparency, verification becomes guesswork. The IAEA monitors declared facilities, but cannot confirm absence of covert programs. Unlike 2015, when inspectors had eyes everywhere, 2025's surveillance blackout makes the situation exponentially more dangerous. Iran operates partially blind to international oversight. As of December 2025, IAEA Director Rafael Grossi notes Iran has not found satellite evidence of renewed uranium enrichment after June strikes. Though Iranian activity occurs near damaged sites, the IAEA considers Iran to have enough nuclear material for 9 nuclear weapons if enriched to 90%, yet no evidence confirms Iran has decided to build actual nuclear weapons. Former intelligence officials assess Iran maintains a threshold strategy, developing all capabilities while stopping short of weaponization to avoid triggering military intervention. This preserves deniability and leverage. Iran finds itself in deadlock with the IAEA and refuses negotiations with the US, demanding zero enrichment. Iran is technically capable of producing weapons-grade uranium faster than diplomacy can respond. Whether capability becomes intent remains the critical question reshaping Middle East security.